Good afternoon, everyone. Andy Jacob here with the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. We have a wonderful show today. This company that we brought on the show is right in the middle of it all with a very, very interesting platform for smartphones, and their technology is really something very special that is providing their clients a very profitable customer engagement tool. So we're very excited to have Mr. Andrew Steele, the CEO of LighthousePE, on the show today. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Andy. It's great to be here.
It's awesome. Now, we've looked into your technology. We've looked into your platform. It's really interesting. You're driving a lot of revenue, a lot of loyalty and retention for your customers like really no other mobile engagement technology out there. So let's pull the lens back a little bit, Andrew, and talk about LighthousePE and what it's all about.
Absolutely. Well, in a nutshell, LighthousePE is a proximity engagement platform. That's the PE in our name, stands for proximity engagement. And what we do is we help businesses strengthen their relationships, their customer relationships, and ultimately help them do what they care about most, which is drive more frequent visits and ultimately increase revenue as well. We do that by helping them send very highly personalized content and communications through their mobile apps. And what our technology does is it looks at primarily a user's location information from their mobile phone. And our technology analyzes that location data to discern patterns in customers' behavior and their preferences. And so by looking at things like how frequently you may visit your favorite restaurant or how frequently you may visit your favorite restaurant's competitors, we can help that restaurant construct an engagement approach with you that's designed ultimately to help them retain as much share of your time and of your wallet as their good customer as they possibly can.
See, I love this. This is amazing. Let's break this down a little bit. We'll talk about data in a little while, but your company Lighthouse is really experiencing LighthousePE, with the PE being the important part of it, is experiencing exponential growth within the travel and hospitality industries, the wellness and beauty industries, and you mentioned restaurants, which is very interesting. So let's sort of look at one space. Let's look at the restaurants. Let's take a look at what a restaurant does with your company. How do you engage with them? What do you do? So let's say there's a restaurateur watching this show today, Andrew, and he wants to improve his engagement, improve his loyalty with his customer. What does LighthousePE offer that restaurateur under your platform?
Sure. Let me answer that by telling a little story about probably one of, if not the most famous examples of the application of this kind of technology in the restaurant space. And that's a campaign called the Whopper Detour. And Burger King launched this campaign back in 2018. And basically what they did was they built something called a geofence, which is a virtual fence around every McDonald's location in the United States. And what they did is anytime a Burger King customer would break through one of those geofences, they would get a push notification from Burger King saying, hey, come get a Whopper, it'll only cost you a penny. And they did a lot around this campaign to promote it. There were some great examples. They would park billboard trucks out in front of McDonald's locations to get people to download the Burger King app. But the upshot was they used their customer's location as a trigger to engage them with an offer. And the results of that campaign were wildly successful. They sold north of 500,000 incremental or additional Whoppers in the course of a couple of weeks. They were number one in the App Store for downloads. I think it was about 1.5 million app downloads through that campaign. And what that did was really, I think, establish the value of using location as an expression of a consumer's preference to trigger an engagement, right? So if we fast forward to today, what Lighthouse does really is offer that same capability to businesses of any size. If you look back at that Whopper Detour campaign, Burger King spent several $1 million, worked with 2 different agencies, and it took them about a year to build both the marketing and the technology to launch that campaign. We have customers, today that are using the identical approach, and we're able to launch that within, less than 10 minutes once a customer is onboarded to our platform. So we've taken that proof of concept, which I'll refer to the Whopper Detour campaign as a proof of concept, and really built that into a technology platform that is very easily approachable and affordable and usable, as I said, for a business of any size.
See, this is super cool. So you've taken something that a big company, a giant company, has spent literally millions of dollars to develop, and you've been able to now put this into a mobile engagement technology that will drive revenue, will drive loyalty for your customers, and put it into a nice package that's actually easily swallowed. It's because the price point has come to a point where you can offer this to so many different companies. So let's talk about that, Andrew, just for a minute. Let's stay with the restaurant idea just for a second. So let's say I own a restaurant here where I'm at right now in the Phoenix, Arizona marketplace, and I want to reach out to LighthousePE, and I want to get more engagement from customers using this geofencing technology. Tell us how that would work.
Sure. So the first fork in the road is whether or not you as a business already have an app. And that could be a mobile app that you've developed yourself, or one that you're getting from a wholesaler or an OEM app provider. In that instance, it'll take about 10, 15 minutes to integrate a couple lines of our code into the app so that we're able to connect that app with our backend. If you're a business and you don't have an app, what we're doing today is we're essentially offering a template that businesses can use and brand, with their branding to use as a starting point to get started. Once you've got that taken care of, then the implementation, as it were, is really just as simple as 3 steps. You're establishing, or you're building your geofences, which you do through drag and drop tools in our platform. You're building your campaigns, or what are the communications that you want to deliver to your customers. And then you establish the rules for when those communications actually get delivered. And that's really where I think the biggest power behind Lighthouse comes in. Is it's predominantly an automated system. So for a business owner who's busy 6-7 days a week just running the business, there's a little bit of an investment in time up front to establish those criteria. But once you've done that, LighthousePE really takes care of it from there. So it's, you could think of it almost as a fire and forget type of platform to an extent. Now, of course, when you look at the results and the data and the performance data that you'll see, in the dashboard as one of our customers, you also, may decide you want to fine tune or change the way you're doing things because you're not happy with the performance. But all of that is, again, very much self-contained within, our app and your dashboard and your portal as a customer.
See, that's amazing. And that's an incredible service that you're offering, where if I don't have an app, I'm going to be able to use an app from LighthousePE, and then I'll have a totally integrated system with a dashboard and everything right there directly from your company. So that's very exciting, because a lot of companies, they maybe don't have to go to another company to get their app built. They can just use your sort of off-the-shelf app to get started. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think that's consistent with, our philosophy that we touched on earlier, which is really bringing the power of that kind of, highly personalized engagement to a business of any size. We talked about the Whopper detour. There's plenty of examples we're all familiar with. I bet you have the Starbucks app on your phone. And so you've seen those push notifications, and big global brands like Starbucks and Chick-fil-A, Best Buy, Target, they're using those technologies and have those capabilities today, but they also have, huge multi-million-dollar IT and marketing budgets to build and customize and manage that internally. And so our mission really is to be able to bring that, to a business owner who may not have a full-time marketing or full-time IT staff, but can spend, a couple hours learning the tools that they have at their disposal with Lighthouse, and then reaping the benefits from, access to that kind of engagement with their customers.
See, that's amazing. You and your team have been able really to develop a very simple, secure, and easy to use platform that really transforms a smartphone application into a very highly profitable customer engagement tool for your customers. So let's talk about the travel and hospitality industry just for a minute. And let's break that down for a moment. So let's just say I own a hotel and I want to engage with your company, LighthousePE. I would imagine a hotel using your geofencing technology could decrease their vacancy rates and increase their room rates because they're getting so many more people coming to their hotel. Is that the idea?
That's part of it. Absolutely. With hotels having the ability to, again, maintain that sort of engagement, that touch point, those periodic touch points with their customers, the next time that their customers are traveling somewhere and making a decision about where they're going to stay, they're going to have that brand, further forward in their mind, and will be more likely to make that choice, that same choice again. But also, you can think about value when a guest is already at a hotel. Value in terms of anything from being able to provide recommendations of what to do around the hotel based on what we may know about you as a customer. And that could come from the data that we collect. It could also come from, preferences that have been expressed through the hotel CRM system, for example. And so, by taking the location data and the behavioral data that we're collecting, combining that with external data like might be collected through a hotel reservation or CRM system, it's really is a combination of increasing the frequency of bookings, but also increasing the value of your guest stay by adding value beyond just providing the room.
See, that makes a lot of sense. And everybody's talking about building their brand. And this is a great way for a company to build their brand because they're increasing their customer engagement. They're increasing their customer loyalty using the LighthousePE platform, and they're building their brand by doing so. So if I think about this in terms of a newer company that's just setting up their application right now or using your application, Andrew, and let's just say I don't have any customers that have signed up for my app yet. Is that prohibitive, or is there a way to still use your application as a mobile engagement technology without having people having signed up for that company's individual app?
So today, having that app installed on your phone is a requirement for us to be able to engage with the end user. But that said, there are a lot of tactics that we can help with for a business, for example, that's launching a new app for the first time, to really jumpstart adoption and to get people downloading the app right away. There's also, some capabilities that we can, that we can build in relative to referral or word of mouth, friends getting friends, to install the app. So, there is that initial step, that initial requirement for the app to be on your phone. And then once that's the case, it's off to the races.
So let's say I own a hardware store. We'll bring it down to the local level just for a minute. And I sell a lot of tools, a lot of outdoor products. I sell some outdoor furniture. I'm like a smaller Home Depot, if you will. Mm-hmm. So using your system or your platform, am I able to then go into the platform and into the system and say that when my customers go buy a Home Depot, that they're going to get some type of message from my company that says, hey, I know you're maybe thinking about, some type of home improvement item right now, and I just want you to know, if you come down today, we can give you an extra 20% off on your purchase.
Absolutely. And that's essentially the same construct as that Whopper Detour campaign. But moving one step beyond that, beyond just location, if I'm that hardware store and I have your customer information in my point of sale or CRM system, and I know that, every year you like to plant, roses and impatiens in the spring, I may want to, set up a communication, something we call a signal, that says, all right, for every customer that has bought roses and impatiens in the past, send a notification a week ahead of, the first arrival of those plants into my inventory, so I can give them first crack at, the best plants that I'm going to bring in. So, again, the power really comes in being able to sort of create this profile of each one of your customers based on, again, the data we collect and the data you collect as the business, and then automate, very highly personalized communications that, are going to drive your business.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. And we talk about these signals. These signals are, in your terms, are sort of the things that make an alert on a phone so that a customer then understands that I want to go see, Andy's hardware store because they have some flowers on sale in the next week. And I love that idea. That's really super cutting edge, super cool. So when we think about the signals, when the customer comes onto your platform, do they make their own signals, or do they need help from someone at your company to help them put together a signal to go out to their customers?
No, so LighthousePE is very much designed as a self-service system. Now, like anything, there's an onboarding process, and we'll basically train the trainer, right? Teach them here's how to construct this kind of signal, whether it's something based on geofences or something based on past purchase history. We'll train them on how to do that during the onboarding process. But it's very much designed to be, as I said, a self-service platform where once you're up and running, you as a LighthousePE customer really control your own destiny.
See, I love that. Andrew, you've experienced some exponential growth in a multitude of spaces with Lighthouse. If we could sort of think about who your primary type customer is it a smaller company that has maybe one restaurant or beauty shop or one physician's office, or is it something bigger, or is it a multinational corporation?
That's a great question. I think as I mentioned earlier, core to our mission is to be able to, provide a platform that's accessible for any business, right? Now, the reality is, as you as you sort of move through the spectrum from, small single location to local multi-location to regional businesses, the the economic value of the ROI goes up because your business is bigger. And for us, as we're looking at our growth, our sweet spot really is probably somewhere in that multi-location, local to regional size business. And that today is where we're primarily focused. Industry-wise, you've touched on the key ones for us. It's the health, beauty, and fitness segment, whether that's a gym, a cycle studio, a day spa or salon, the quick service and fast casual restaurant, and then travel and tourism are the three macro segments that we're focused on. And there's some common characteristics to those businesses. One is there's a notion of spoilage, right? Where you have a set amount of inventory of something. If you're a day spa, it's, appointments for your staff, that they can handle in a day. You're paying the staff. If you're not full for that day, then, you have spoilage on those resources. Obviously in hotels and restaurants, it's capacity utilization. So when you get back to the business value, really what Lighthouse does is help those businesses minimize the waste in those key elements of their business.
See, I love that. I'm thinking if I'm a restaurant owner, and let's just say, for example, I know that Tuesdays are my slow day between 4 and 7 p.m. And I'm looking for a boost because I still have the number of waiters or servers, the same amount of bartenders at the restaurant. I've got the same overhead, the same light costs, and I want to fill up my restaurant on those Tuesdays at that time. I would imagine this would be a great way to solve that problem. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. And Lighthouse can do that in a number of different ways. You can construct an ad hoc signal or a broadcast signal on any given day. If for example, you're a restaurant and you look at your book and you see you're only booked to 20%, you can send out a one-time signal to everybody that has your app to say, with an offer, right? To try and fill those seats, free appetizer with entree. If you want to drill down on that even more, you could say, well, I know that I have a portion of my customers that only ever come for Sunday brunch. So I may want to set up a signal that says every couple of weeks for those people only, send them a message that says, hey, did you know that for happy hour on Wednesdays, we have dollar oysters or whatever the offer might be. And so again, it's increasing that, the visit frequency, increasing the value per customer to your business.
You see, Andrew, this is absolutely amazing. I'm listening to you, and I would imagine everyone that's going to be watching this show, their wheels are spinning right now because many of them own a company. They're saying to themselves, wow, this is a way that I can really capture a lot more return on investment. I can really capture the long-term value of my customer. I can really capture areas of my company that I need to have a boost in. So as you're talking, I'm thinking of so many different companies and so many different spaces and industries that could definitely benefit from the Lighthouse PE platform. Let's talk about branding just for a minute, because everybody's talking about branding as being the most important thing. And one of the most important things now in terms of branding a company is that long-term relationship with that customer. So we've hit on this a little bit, but what I'm hearing is that the Lighthouse PE platform puts a company in the enviable position to be able to build a longer-term relationship with their existing customers, increasing their ROI and building their brand at the same time. Is that the way it works?
That's absolutely correct. And one of the expressions that we use a lot is creating customers for life. And that absolutely is the one of the value promises that that we bring to our customers. Because it gets back to, it's not just the fact that you're engaging with me as a customer through your mobile app, you're engaging with me in a way that I recognize and that I respond to, because you're tapping into things that I like and that I want and that I might need. It's giving those businesses the ability to really latch on to the motivations and the preferences of their customers that already exist, and make the most out of those.
See, that's awesome. Now, Andrew, we have an international footprint here on the show. We know that Latin America is blowing up in a good way with their mobile technology, and everybody on their mobile applications and mobile phones doing everything under the sun now. So tell us, does Lighthouse PE have a geographic fence around its company? In other words, do you go outside of the United States, or can you go outside of the United States for companies outside of our boundaries here today?
Today, we are, our customer base is in the US only, but we very much plan to expand internationally. Probably before the end of 2021, we'll start that. Technically speaking, there's no reason, why we can't do that. Everything we do is in the cloud. And so there's no deployment geofences around, what we can do technically. Different regions have, slightly different regulatory restrictions and requirements, particularly around location data. And so, we'll have to do that in a way that is respectful of those regulations. But one of the things that are really the core thing around how we collect that data that's important to point out is it's completely opt-in. So, every end user that uses an app that is integrated with Lighthouse has to say, number one, I'm okay, I allow you to track my location. And number two, I allow you to send me notifications. And we've all seen those warnings before, and people respond differently. But the interesting thing is, what we see across our customers is anywhere from 2/3 to 3/4 of the end users opt in, and they're willing to. And I think that goes back to the fact that, they do that because they're going to derive value from it. They're not opting in so they can get ads. They're opting in so that they can get things like offers or things they're interested in from the brands they already trust. And so I think that's why we do see such a high opt-in rate.
See, that makes a lot of sense, Andrew. And for those people watching the show from outside the United States, reach out to Andrew and his team at Lighthouse PE, and they'll update you about when they're coming to your country or your neck of the woods, so to speak. Andrew, let's talk about data, because we've spoken about it here a little bit throughout the show today. And everybody is very, very interested in what happens to their data. Is their data secure? What are the companies doing with my data? For the most part, companies are providing a better user experience using people's data, and that's really what data is all about. But the thing that I like about your platform is you've been able to build a secure platform. And let's just touch on that a little bit and talk about the security of your platform, because I think that might be an interesting area, at least to talk about for the people thinking about coming to Lighthouse PE and using your platform.
Sure. So everything we do, as I said, is in the cloud. All of the data that we store and we manage is encrypted. So from a security perspective, we've built that in from the beginning, to have a very secure platform. Beyond just the technical security, as I mentioned, we only collect end user data when we're given that permission. And we only use that data to help our customers engage, right? So we never sell that data to any third party. We don't share that data in between customers. So there's very strict guardrails around, how, number one, how and when we collect the data, but then how we use that data once we've collected it.
See, I like that. So everything's encrypted, everything's safe. You're using the top of the line, world-class programming and systems to make sure that the customer's data is secure, your customer's data is secure, and their customer's data is totally secure. Let's turn the page just a little bit, Andrew, a little bit right now, and let's talk at a high level about entrepreneurship, because we have a number of younger people that watch the show that are just starting out with, let's say, their first startup, or they have an idea for a startup, or maybe they're moving along into a Series A type of a financing round. So those people that are watching you and they're hearing about this program that you've been able to put together, this platform technology that you've been able to put together, they're saying to themselves, wow, this is something really good that these people over at Lighthouse PE have been able to put together. And sometimes younger entrepreneurs sometimes question themselves with regard to when they hit a bump in the road, they don't know what to do. So maybe just at a high level, Andrew, as the CEO of Lighthouse PE, maybe you could talk a little bit about entrepreneurship from the standpoint of, yes, you're going to find that on your path, there might be some difficulties and some challenges, but if you persevere and maybe think about things in a little bit different way, you're going to be able to succeed. So maybe you could share a story about either your career or something that happened at Lighthouse that you maybe had a little bump in the road that made you even better than what you are today.
Yeah, that's a great question. And my path to entrepreneurship was a little bit of a long and windy one. I didn't, jump out of high school and create Facebook or anything like that. But as I made my way towards being an entrepreneur, what I discovered about myself and what I think is true about anyone who's committed to being an entrepreneur is the reason you do it is because you're solving problems you care about. And I think when you start from that foundation, then the inevitable bumps in the road and blockades and pivots and challenges that you're going to face on a day-to-day basis, you deal with those within a mindset of, okay, how am I going to conquer this one in the context of the problem that I'm trying to solve? For me, this is my fifth early stage startup that I've been associated with. And in some cases, I've been a co-founder. In other cases, like this one, I've joined, a founding team. But in every case, for me, it was really motivated by the desire to solve a problem that I thought mattered, whether that was to me personally, whether that was to the community, to the country, to the world, whatever that case may be. That's always been the underlying motivation. And I think you very quickly went, it's always easy to be an entrepreneur when things go right, which almost never happens. I think that's really what separates the people who are truly entrepreneurs from the people who think they want to be entrepreneurs, but aren't really committed to it. And so, if someone were to ask me for, guidance or advice or what's the one thing you learned, I would say it's that. It's, before you take on the risk, because there is risk, you're risking financially, you're risking, depending on your mental strength, you're risking, sometimes your personal sanity, your health, and all of those things you have to balance. But again, that all becomes much more manageable when you have that backdrop of the motivation being to be a problem solver.
See, I love that, Andrew. So you keep moving forward. You have to be able to want to move forward and be able to problem solve as you go. Everyone's going to skin their knee a little bit. It's about staying committed to your passion and committed to what problem you want to solve. And whether it's a big problem or a big world problem, there are all many problems out there that entrepreneurs can solve. And what I think you're saying is, when you find something that you're passionate about, stick with it. Because at the end of the day, it's going to turn out to be something that's going to be a light that's going to really brighten up the entire world. So that's a wonderful, wonderful thought. So Andrew, in closing, this Lighthouse PE platform for me is something that anyone really should take a look at, because It's going to improve their brand. It's going to improve their engagement with their customers, and it's going to build long-term engagement and a long-term loyalty with their customers. And that's why Lighthouse PE has been lighting up, how you're experiencing the exponential growth that you've been experiencing in these various verticals that we spoke about. And I'm so happy you had a chance, and I had a chance to have you on the show today, because it was really, really something that caught my eye. And I said to myself, everybody with a small to medium-sized business needs to know about this Lighthouse PE platform, because it just is going to do all good things for a company. So I wanted to thank you again for coming on the show today, Andrew. This is a great platform that you and the team have built, and congratulations on what you're doing for so many companies, helping them with their brands.
Well, thanks, Andy. I appreciate that. Great to talk with you today, and thank you for the opportunity to join you today.